The swinging 60s brought us the miniskirt, Model Twiggy, the movie Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, where Betty Davis tries to kill Joan Crawford for an hour and a half, and then the cameras started rolling. It also brought us some amazing music, the Beatles, the Kinks, the Zombies, the Animals, Hermits, the Who, the Rolling Stones, Small Faces, and so much more. All these wonderful British invasion groups, and today, on the Sam T. Blues Review, we continue our look at that swinging era of British rock music. And we have someone who was immersed directly in it, and that is Peter Noone, Herman of Hermits. Before that, we're going to go backwards a little bit, discuss some of the blues roots of the aforementioned bands with guest host Brian Scanlon. Brian has been on the show before. He's the owner and operator of the Chicago Bluesmobile, a one-of-a-kind, screen-accurate, handcrafted replica of the famous Dodge Monaco that Elwood drove in the film The Blues Brothers. Brian, how you doing?
Good, Sam. How are you, sir?
Oh, I'm doing all right. A little out of breath from that intro, but other than that, I'm fine.
Oh, you did fantastic.
Thank you. How have things been going for you, Brian?
Well, things have been very quiet this year. Obviously, with the global pandemic happening, right. There's not much desire for many gatherings this year, to say the least. But, right. We're staying home and we're staying safe, so sometime next year we'll be back at it.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'm looking forward to it. But you've done a couple parades, haven't you, just kind of driving around?
Yeah, just driving around, mostly for healthcare workers.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple of clinics in my immediate area that we've been driving past, and just to show support for the frontline workers. They're risking it all for our safety,
right.
And you got to commend them for that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's great you're doing that. So, Brian, we have discussed our shared love for blues music and, of course, the Blues Brothers on many occasions. But I understand, yes. I know you're a big fan of The Who, correct?
I am.
Did you see them, what was it, last year, the year before?
May of 2019. And I've actually been seeing them regularly since they started touring again in the late 90s.
Wow.
Every time they hit the Chicago area, I was there.
And you've been liking them since you were a kid?
Yeah, I've liked them since I was a kid. I'm a kid of the 80s, and that would have been the last hurrah for
mm-hmm.
the Who. They released 2 albums in the 80s, Face Dances and It's Hard. Neither of them have held the critical acclaim that the earlier records did, but they had some good songs. Eminence Front is an awesome song.
That is a good
totally 80s song. Athena, that's
mm-hmm.
just, it's still a rocker.
And I think you and I sort of had a similar experience with the Blues Brothers, where we watched it, we heard the music, and then we wanted to know, okay, where does this song come from? And
exactly.
You get to hear all these great blues influences, and it's the same thing with The Who. And let's go back in time a little bit here, if you don't mind. We're going to go to 1959, and The Who started as the Detours. By 64, another band was going by the Detours, so they changed it to The Who, obviously. Some other frontrunners were The Hair, The Group, and No One. I kind of like the sound of all of those.
Yes, but then I actually, The Who, that's just an awesome band name.
Oh, absolutely.
We don't care.
Yeah, so I know that they were listening to, kind of the same people that all the other bands of that time were listening to, including Muddy Waters, probably some Howlin' Wolf and people like that. Who else do you know of, not personally, maybe personally, that'd be cool, that The Who were listening to around that time that were kind of some of their big influences?
Well, definitely they were listening to Slim Harpo. I mean, he was a big influence on their early beats. I mean, in fact, there's a couple of songs that they've done that were just outright copies of his beats. And it's just amazing to me to think, these young British teenagers were so heavily influenced by the American blues, where even our own musicians were largely ignoring it at that time. So to hear a Slim Harpo song fed through the ears of a British teenager, and out comes I'm the Face. I mean, that's just, it's amazing.
Yeah, it is. And we're going to hear a little bit of that right now. We're going to play, this is I'm the Face from The Who, which samples I Got Love If You Want It. More Sam T. Blues Review right after this.
I'm the face, baby, is that clear? I'm the face, baby, is that clear? I'm the face if you want it. I'm the face if you want it, yeah. All the others are third-class tickets by me, baby, is that clear? I'm the big wheel, baby. Won't you roll with me? I'm the big wheel, baby. Won't you roll with me? So many times I'm seeing hard, but it's hard to see.
Pretty's a mean thing. What you find brown frame? What you find brown frame? If you let me love you, thing, I'll think you're loving man. I'll think you're loving man. Now yeah, you come bang. Now yeah, you come bang. With your head hung down. With your head hung down. I know you've been falling. The talk's all over town. The talk's all over town.
Nobody, woman, it'll make me mean, yeah, Lord, make me mean. Yeah, I don't want no bald-headed woman. It'll make me mean, yeah, Lord, make me mean. Yeah, I don't want no sugar in my coffee. It'll make me mean, yeah, Lord, make me mean. Yeah, I don't want no sugar in my coffee. It'll make me mean, yeah, Lord, make me mean. Yeah, I'm traveling over bald-headed mountains. Done my time, done my time. Yeah, I've been traveling them bald-headed mountains. Yeah, done my time, I done my time. Said I done my time, I done my time. Said I done my time now, yeah. I done my time, yeah. I done my time, yeah. Yeah. Done my don't want nobody, woman, baby. Yeah, don't make me mean. I don't want nobody, woman. Don't make me mean now. Don't want no sugar in my coffee. Don't make me mean. Don't want no sugar in my coffee. Don't make me mean. Make me now.
And welcome back to the Sam T. Blues Review. My guest host tonight is Brian Scanlon of Chicago Bluesmobile fame. We have had Brian on, I think, 3 times. We've been talking about British invasion music on this episode, mostly about The Who. Brian is a huge fan of The Who. And one of the things I wanted to mention, a fun little snippet of trivia that I stumbled across, is that Roger Daltrey used to use a microphone cable as a whip on stage. Did he do that when you saw him?
Yes, he still does it. Granted, he doesn't throw them as high in the air as he once did, but he certainly does do it still.
Yeah, and then, of course, Jake used an actual whip in the Blues Brothers.
Yes. I think Roger somehow influenced Jake because they're very similar techniques.
I'm going to quote you on that and saying that is where it originated from. I'm going to divert, as I do every other sentence, to talk about the Blues Brothers just for a little bit. Because
Sure.
something we never really talked about was that you and I performed as the Blues Brothers. Was this January?
Yes.
All the months blur
Yes,
together at this point.
They do.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was really fun. It's the first time I ever performed in front of anybody. And, you know, I tell you, the nervousness leading up to that was just, it was like overwhelming. But then once the first word came out of my mouth, and it was like, okay, this is pretty cool.
Yeah.
the fact that we just drove into the party because
Yeah.
it was in the garage, that was great.
That was cool. And no one knew we were coming, too. It was a surprise, so that was awesome.
Yes,
said,
yes,
"What's going
absolutely.
on?" All right, let's get back on track here. We are talking about The Who, and the song you heard a little while ago, that was Bald-Headed Woman by The Who. If you were listening, maybe you heard a little Jimmy Page action on the fuzz guitar. Jimmy Page,
Yes.
most known for Led Zeppelin, but of course he was a session musician. Did he start maybe in the late 50s or early 60s doing that?
I believe in the late 50s. He was very young. He was like 13, 14 years old.
Wow.
When he became a session musician. It's just amazing that he was very in demand. I mean, he was
Yeah.
such a good guitar player even at such a young age.
Yeah, and I should have printed out like a list of all the bands and all the people that he's worked with. If you needed a guitarist, you know, and you're in England or Great Britain, it's going to be Jimmy
He was
Page.
the go-to. Yep.
Well, you mentioned the Yardbirds, and that was from 1966 to 68, and then, of course,
Yes.
massive international success with Led Zeppelin. But the Yardbirds were a
Yes.
great group, though. I enjoyed the Yardbirds.
Oh, they were a fantastic group, and they were one of the earlier and more prominent British invasion bands that strictly adhered to the blues influences. They covered "I'm a Man," and they made it their own while keeping the core influence there.
We pretty women stand in line. We loved you, baby, in an hour's time. I'm a man. I spell M A N. Line shoot, we'll never miss. We loved you, baby. You can't resist. I'm a man. I spell M A N. Man. Going back down to Kansas too. Bring back a little girl just like you. I'm a man. I spell M A M. Man.
By the time Jimmy Page was a full-time member, all of the original guys decided we're kind of done with this.
Right.
And interestingly enough, the only reason that the Yardbirds continued on as the new Yardbirds and then eventually into Led Zeppelin was because they were contractually obligated to perform a series of concerts. And Jimmy had to figure out, what the heck am I going to do here? You know, there's money on the line. And, you know, he got together the core members, and the rest is history.
But you were telling me that Aykroyd and Belushi wanted to do a Led Zeppelin song as the Blues Brothers, right?
They did. I read somewhere long ago, and I can't quite remember where I saw this, but when they were initially putting the band together and practicing, Belushi and Aykroyd wanted to cover, surprisingly enough, Stairway to Heaven.
Okay.
Duck Dunn just said, absolutely not. We're not doing this.
I
Get
can
that out
see
of
him
your
not
head
wanting
right
to
now.
do that. That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about Stairway to Heaven.
Yeah, that's just that's a weird choice. I mean, When the Levee Breaks, I could see that.
Yep.
That is a blues standard.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, or
Stairway
Bring It
to
On
Heaven,
Home, even,
very-
something like that.
Correct. Going to California, I could see that one maybe.
Oh, for
sure. But Stairway to Heaven, yeah, no. It's kind of like that part in Wayne's World where, you know, he does the opening riff and then the guy points, no Stairway to Heaven.
You got yarning and I got money. Baby, you look so sweet and cunning. Baby, way down inside, woman, you need love. Woman, you need love. You got to have some love. I'm gonna give you some love. I know you need love. You just got to have love. You got to have some love. Y'all make me feel so good. You make me feel alright. You make me feel so good. Oh, you make me feel alright. You make me feel so good. You make me feel alright. She's so nice, she's so nice. 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 You are fretting, and I am petting. Lot of good things, oh, you ain't getting. Baby, way down inside, woman, you need love. I know you need love. You just gotta have some love. Ain't fooling, you be schooling. Baby, you know you need cooling. Woman, way down inside, woman, you need love. You got to have some love. She got to have some love.
We're talking with Brian Scanlon, owner-operator of the Chicago Bluesmobile. Led Zeppelin stole a lot of blues songs, didn't they?
They did. They absolutely did. And it's amazing that they went so many years without having to give proper credit to the blues musicians.
Because I feel like there really wasn't a lot set in place, I don't think. In like the 60s and 70s, it's like people just kind of took little pieces of blues songs here and there and just kind of did their own thing. And I think if they just kind of credited them or gave some sort of attribution, I don't think there would have been a big deal. Because, I mean, you know that they're influenced by all these blues guys. They don't shut up about them. So, obviously.
Right. If they would have went with the Rolling Stones model of absolutely giving all of the proper due and respect to the musicians, I think that Led Zeppelin historically would have fared better because, you know, great music still to this day, but yeah, they stole it.
Yeah, but, you know, part of me likes not that they stole it, but that they, you know, are using these direct songs. And if they did credit them, it's like, all right, you're introducing the blues to this whole new generation, just like the Blues Brothers did. Willie Dixon established the Blues Heaven Foundation, and they've done wonders to make sure credit is given. I wanted to mention that because they do great work. But Willie Dixon famously sued Led Zeppelin over the song Whole Lotta Love. But another group that covered that, or not covered Whole Lotta Love, but the song You Need Love by Muddy Waters, Small Faces.
Well, that was a direct copy of the song. Of course, they interpreted it in their own way, but the core of the song is an exact word-for-word version of Willie Dixon's song. So the fact that that fell under the radar for so many years, because I believe that was done in the early 60s, whereas A Whole Lotta Love would have been late 60s, early 70s, why Willie chose to go after Led Zeppelin and not the Small Faces. Only he would know that, But I believe they did a great homage to the song. They did a really great job.
We'll be right back. Brian Scanlon on the Sam T. Blues Revue. Listening to the Sam T. Blues Revue. My special guest host tonight is Brian Scanlon, owner-operator of the Chicago Bluesmobile in Chicago, IL. How long have we been talking about doing this British Invasion show?
I think it's been about 2 years. Really, and it's amazing how time flies.
It is.
Because, we were at a car show and just riffing off of different music and then we were talking through emails, and I'm like, hey, this would be a great idea. And that was the seed. But, yeah, it's taken a little while, but I'm glad we're here.
So we've been talking about a couple different groups here, Yardbirds, The Who. We talked a little bit about the Small Faces. You heard their song, You Need Loving. I shouldn't say their song. It's theirs and Muddy Waters' song. So the band The Small Faces, I knew the name for a while, The Small Faces. I knew that they became the Faces. I knew Rod Stewart was in the Faces. Other than that, I didn't know a whole lot. So my own research tells me that they were a group founded in 1965. Steve Marriott, Kenny Jones, Ronnie Lane, Jimmy Winston. And then Ian McLagan would replace Winston as keyboardist in 1966. Marriott left to form Humble Pie in 1969, and then the Small Faces would get so big in 1969 that they just became Faces. And they were joined by Ronnie Wood on guitar, Rod Stewart on lead vocals. And is there anything in there that I missed that you want to add to this?
No, you hit everything right where it needed to be.
So let's go back to 1965 when the Small Faces were founded. During that time, of course, the Beatles, they're sweeping the nation. Well, multiple nations, that is. Back in Europe, the blues roots of the British invasion movement are still very evident, I would say specifically with the Small Faces. Or is it just Small Faces?
I think so, yes.
I think so. I don't think they'll get mad like if you call the Eagles, or if you call Eagles the Eagles.
Right.
I feel like they'll get mad, but I don't think the Small Faces or Small Faces would care.
Yeah, no, Don Henley would definitely get mad at you.
I know. All right. So Small Faces performed a lot of rhythm and blues songs in their early days, including James Brown's Please, 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 Smokey Robinson's You've Really Got a Hold on Me, and Ben E. King's Stand By Me. So it seems like the Small Faces, or Small Faces, more influenced by that kind of early R&B rather than straight-up blues. Correct?
I would agree with that.
And do you hear that? Do you hear that in their tunes, all the songs that they do? Because I don't know, it's kind of weird listening to British invasion music, having the hindsight of like, okay, we know that this is blues inspired. Does this make sense, or is this dumb?
No, it does. It absolutely does make sense. Yeah, blues was definitely part of it, but I think they veered more towards the popular R&B of Motown after their initial blues inspired phase, whereas other bands stayed with it. They kind of latched onto that. It's the same with the Beatles. The Beatles were not a blues-inspired band. They were inspired by Chuck Berry.
Right.
Little Richard, pure early American rock and roll. And I think that would be the same with the Small Faces.
Yeah. And I think that's a good distinction you made with the Beatles being inspired, not directly from the blues. And there's a picture that I found. It's a chart that I found on ReggieBender.com, and you can find that if you go to that website or to Facebook at the Sam T. Blues Review. And it really, really breaks it down in a really interesting way where it talks about skiffle music, blues, rock and roll, and how all these bands kind of intertwine, because they're all British invasion bands, but of course they don't all sound exactly the same, and that kind of shows why and where that comes from. So we're talking about the Small Faces, and some of their original music, like this song E2D, I think that one is really, really kind of soul-inspired, like we've been talking about. And it says Steve Marriott, I'm reading this off of Wikipedia, Steve Marriott channeled Otis Redding and Bobby Blue Bland, and I think after you say those names and you hear this song, you'll agree. So we're going to play that right now. We'll be right back with more Sam T. Blues Review. Here's E2D on the Blues Review.
Sometimes I feel like a frustrated child. I've got everything I want, and there's nothing that I need. I can't stop my brain from running wild, running wild, running wild. My brain is running wild.
baby. What we gonna do now, babe? Hey, what's wrong with you? Well, now don't treat me, baby, like you used to do. Now I can't help it, baby. If I'm feeling strange, I'm just hoping, baby, I don't go insane now, babe. Hey, what's wrong with you? Well, now don't treat me, baby, like you used to do.
I want you to know that I love you, baby. Want you to know that I care. I'm so happy when you're around me, but I'm sad when you're not there. So tell me what you gonna do about it. What you gonna do about it? I'm so crazy. What you gonna do about it? You're so nice. What you gonna do about it? I want you to give me your sweet, sweet kisses. Want you to hold me tight. I want you to come whenever I call you and let me walk you home at night. What you gonna do about it? Sing a song. What you gonna do about it? Come on, children. What you gonna do about it? What you gonna do about it? Now you hear the music. I want you to know that I love you, baby. I said this before, but I care. You know that I'm so happy when you're around me, and I'm sad when you're not there. Come on, baby. What you gonna do every day of your life? What you gonna do? Please answer my question. Hey, hey, hey. What you gonna do? Oh yeah. What you gonna do? You're so nice. What you gonna do? All the time. What you gonna do? What you gonna do?
Welcome back to the Sam T. Blues Review. Joining me tonight is Brian Scanlon of the Chicago Bluesmobile. We've had him on. We decided the consensus was 3 times before, and this is number 4. And it's like Saturday Night Live. You could be in that 5-timers club, and I'll give you a jacket.
Oh,
How's that?
that would be very nice. I would like that.
I'll just take a Sharpie and just write Blues Review on it. So the song we just heard, What You Gonna Do About It by Small Faces, and there's a very familiar guitar riff on that. And that was Everybody Needs Somebody to Love by the great Solomon Burke. Do you recognize that?
Great song. Yes,
Oh,
I
it's a
did.
great tune.
Great riff.
We're going to kind of dissolve the British invasion movement. We're going to do that right here on live radio. And how we're going to do that is, so the Small Faces we discussed a little while ago, where they turned into the Faces, and then it was Rod Stewart, and then that kind of, what genre would you describe Rod Stewart as? Like now?
Now he's definitely into the great American songbooks.
Yeah.
You know, standards of the 30s, 40s, which is a really strange twist, but I guess not to be unexpected. It's nice to keep those songs alive as well, but far removed from his rocking days.
Yeah. Is there, do you think, a year that stopped?
I think it was around 67.
Okay.
I mean, that, from 62 to 67 would be the peak years, in my opinion, of the British invasion. It didn't mean that the bands went away. They evolved and they went into different genres. They were still popular, or they had different iterations.
Mm-hmm.
The Hollies would be one to come to mind that they left their pop roots for
right.
More harder rock, if you will, with some of their later stuff. But yeah, 67, after that, it was pretty much a totally different era.
So Brian, I've really enjoyed talking to you. Before we go here, we're going to kind of wrap things up. Is there any song, anything we missed here in our conversation that you really wanted to talk about, a song you wanted me to play?
One of my favorites, and I think an excellent song to close this out, is from the Yardbirds. It's from 1966, and it's called Over, Under, Sideways, Down. Very, very much still within the blues realm,
Mm-hmm.
but you can see the early psychedelic influences being added with the feedback and the guitar solos. Great song, very underrated, a perfect way to end this show.
Well, I would agree with you there. I that's one of my favorites as well. So we're going to play that. But before we do, Brian, I want to thank you again so much for taking time out of your day to talk with me.
For having me on again, and I look forward to number 5.
Well, I look forward to it too. Thank you so much, Brian.
Thank you.
Cars and girls are easy come by in this day and age. Laughing, joking, drinking, smoking till I spent my wage. When I was young, people spoke of immorality. All the things they said were wrong are what I want to be. Hey! Under, sideways, down. Hey! Forward, square, around. Hey! Under, sideways, down. Hey! Forward, square, around. When will it end? When will it end? Hey! Hey! I find comments about my looks irrelativity. Think I'll go and have some fun, 'cause it's all for free. I'm not searching for a reason to enjoy myself. Seems it's better done than argue with somebody else. Hey! Under, sideways, down. Hey! Forward, square, around. Hey! Under, sideways, down. Hey! Forward, square, around. When will it end? When will it end? Hey! 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 Under, sideways, down. Hey! Forward, square, around. Hey! Under, sideways, down. Hey! Forward, square, around. Over, under, sideways, round. Backwards, forward, square, around. Over, under, sideways, down. Backwards, forward, square, around.
Please, 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 please. Please, please, please. Honey, please. No. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No. I love you so. Baby, you did me wrong. Well, you done me wrong. No, you done me wrong. Well, oh yeah, took my love, now you're gone. Please, 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 please.
don't go. Please don't go. Honey, please don't go. Girl, I love you so. Please, please.
I'm so happy to be here tonight. So glad to be in your wonderful city. And I have a little message for you. And I want to tell every woman and every man tonight that's ever needed someone to love, that's ever had somebody to love, that's ever had somebody to understand them, that's ever had someone that needs their love all the time. Someone that's with them when they're up, somebody that's with them when they're down. If you had yourself somebody like this, you better hold on to them. Because let me tell you something. Sometimes you get what you want, and you lose what you have. And there's a song I sing, and I believe if everybody was to sing this song, you could save the whole world. Listen to me. Everybody needs somebody. Everybody wants somebody to love. Honey to honey, sugar to kiss, baby to miss now, baby to tease, sometime to please, and I need, and I need, in the morning, baby, when the sun goes down, ain't nobody around, sugar. Oh, listen to me. Sometimes I feel a little sad inside. My baby mistreating me, and I get a little mad, but I need you just to see me through, sugar. Somebody to hold my hand when I feel a little lonely. But oh, let me hear you say yeah. Let me hear everybody say yeah. Let me hear you say I just want one woman to stand up tonight and say I love you. I want somebody to be a witness tonight. And I just want to hear you say I love you. I want to hear you say I love you.
Hi, this is Chris Vachon from Roomful of Blues. Listen to tracks from our new album, In a Roomful of Blues, on the Sam T. Blues Revue.
In a room full of blues, it's just me and you. All these things that we've been through put us here in a room full of blues. How we shimmered and we shine, just about lost our minds. Well, let's get up and boogaloo out of this room full of blues. waste of our precious time. So look into my eyes and let's philosophize. It's the last thing we ever do. Gotta get out of this road full of blues. In a room full of blues. Wondering what makes us two. Gotta get up and boogaloo. Get out of this room full of blues. In this room full of blues. Wonder what makes us two. Gotta get up and boogaloo. Out of this room full of blues. Gotta get out, gotta get out, gotta get out.
Welcome back to the Sam T. Blues Review. My next guest is a certified rock and roll legend, currently touring with his band Hermits, known for their many hits. Mrs. Brown, You've Got a Lovely Daughter, I'm Into Something Good, No Milk Today, Henry VIII, the list goes on and on. It's Herman himself, Mr. Peter Noone. Peter, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sam. It's nice to be there. Blues is really not to be mentioned in the same sentence as Herman's Hermits, but we do know the blues, and we love the blues.
Exactly. I think I would disagree a little bit with you there. I think that there's a lot of blues roots in your music.
You're right, but there's a lot of blues roots in country music as well, but very few people mess with that and say the blues of country.
Exactly. I know what you're saying.
I was just teasing you about the name of your show.
I know.
I say I've never seen the words performing arts and Herman's Hermits in the same sentence, but I've actually seen that now too.
So first off, I am a huge fan. I'm an enormous fan. My wife and I saw you a few years ago. It was easily one of the best concerts I've ever been to.
Oh my goodness, at the fair?
No, it was actually in Merrillville, one of the ones where you did with Salute to the 60s with Grassroots, Buckingham.
Place. They don't do that anymore. But you know, I once did the Iowa State Fair, and recently with Tommy James or maybe Paul Revere and the Raiders, and after the show, this man came up to me and said, "Would you like to have your picture taken with the pig?" And I go, what kind of... Nobody's ever asked me this before. So yes, I would. Yes, I would like. And I got up the next day and I went to the airport, and on the front page of that famous newspaper, the Des Moines Register?
Right.
There was a picture of me and the pig. The pig had won the Pig of the Year something. So I said to how did this... I wasn't being rude about the pig. I said, how did this pig win? And this woman gave me a 10-minute thing about the back, the ribs and the thing, all of which I forgot because it was an ugly-looking pig, but obviously good enough to win.
Yeah.
I don't know what the other pigs must have looked like.
I know. Now I'm very curious. I'm going to have to look this up.
It was on the front page of the Des Moines newspaper when I got up in the morning, Peter Noone and the pig.
That's really
And I think they mentioned the pig. It was left to right. The pig got the top billing.
The one I went to is the Salute to the 60s show, but I wanted to mention the thing that I liked the most was, everybody in the audience is just, singing the lyrics, they're dancing, really getting into it. So I want to know, why do you think that, your music, Herman's Hermits, why has that stood the test of time, do you think?
Well, I think there's 2 or 3 reasons. I'm persistent and I won't let it go away. And radio played it to the max. Lots of people don't realize that they know a lot of songs because they didn't buy the record, but they heard them so many times. Lots of people know the words to Henry VIII.
Right.
Because you only need to hear that one time. But the other ones are more complex. And I look out in the audience and I see people singing songs that haven't been played on the radio for 20 years, but they must have been played a lot. And remember, there was all that top 40 radio, and Herman's Hermits was staple. It was part of the diet. It was... We in 1965, we put 11 singles out, and they all got in the top 20. Because, there was when you're hot, and when you're not, you're not. Mm-hmm. And we've been not hot a lot. So put something out now.
Yeah.
Every day we'd find what they put out now. They put out Mrs. Brown as a single. They can't put that out as a single. That's ridiculous. That's just a comedy song. Yeah, it's out, and it's number one. It sold 400,000. Oh, that was a good idea. So, we just put lots of records out, and lots of radio stations played them. And remember, once upon a time, everybody was stuck in their car with their mom and dad, and their mom and dad liked Perry Como and Herman's Hermits.
Speaking of, we were talking a little bit about blues. Were you listening to the blues at all when you're growing up in England? Did you get a lot of the, like, B.B. King and blues artists like that, or what were you listening to?
Of course we did. I was a waiter at the Twisted Wheel, which was where all the blues acts came. And, I saw Big Bill Brunsey and all the guitar players came, because they were single, easy to manage, and they could play clubs and make enough money to make a living. Do you know what I mean? Because they didn't have a great big band, and they all played at the Twisted Wheel. They were all on tour in England. All of them. One of the little known facts is that Americans were always idolized more in England than they were in America.
Right.
So, when I think of all the people that I saw in my life that would come back here, even Wilson Pickett was a superstar in England and struggled a bit over it. Nobody ever gave him the credit for what. And look, Otis Redding was a hit in England before he was ever a hit in America. America discovered him after he died.
That's very true. Yeah.
It's a small place, so we were edged towards each other's music. You couldn't avoid someone else's music. Like all my friends were in different bands. We had to make a choice. Our choice was we'll go with. And the Beatles made the same choice, remember, which was to go towards the Everly Brothers and Buddy Holly and Roy Orbison. And the Stones chose to go towards Muddy Waters, Big Bill Brunsey, and that thing. There was two different a choice that you made. And I thought, I don't know. I love you, baby. I've been loving you all night long. Might not have been a good Herman's Hermits track.
Probably not. You could probably make it work, but you're probably right.
Yeah. I'm a hog for you, baby. Can't get enough of your love. Can do it. I could start a blues band now. We'd call it the Rhythm Sausages, though, just to sort of change the world.
I'd be front row to that.
There you go. We're working on it.
I know you talk a lot about the old days and people you were listening to on your show on Sirius XM, Something Good. That is 4 to 7 p.m. Central Time. I hope everybody checks that out. I listen to that whenever I can. Peter, I want to thank you so much for talking with me. It's been a real honor.
Thank you, Sam. And come and see us again. I'm glad you enjoyed the Merrillville show. Come and see us nearer there.
I will, absolutely. I'll be there.
Take care, Sam.
All right, thanks, Peter. Have a good one.
Bye, Sam.
Woke up this morning feeling fine. There's something special on my mind. Last night I met a new girl in the neighborhood. Whoa, yeah. Something tells me I'm into something good. Something tells me I'm into something. She's the kind of girl who's not too shy, and I can tell I'm her kind of guy. She danced close to me like I hope she would. She danced with me like I hope she would. Something tells me I'm into something good. Something tells me I'm into something. We only dance for a minute or two, and then she stuck close to me the whole night through. Can I be the one in love? She's everything I've been dreaming of. She's everything I've been dreaming of. I walked her home and she held my hand. I knew it couldn't be just a one-night stand. So I asked to see her next week, and she told me I could. I asked to see her and she told me I could. Something tells me I'm into something good. Something tells me I'm into something. Something tells me I'm into something. I walked her home and she held my
hey, baby, hey. Hey, 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 baby, hey. I love you, baby, but I sure ain't gonna be your dog. With my arms around you, baby, you know that's all I can say is hey. Hey, hey, lost your good thing now. Hey, hey, you lost your good thing now. You had me fooled, but I found it out somehow.
Well, you've been listening to the Sam T. Blues Review, Part 2 of the British Invasion Movement, and we really only scratched the surface despite 2, might I say, future award-winning programs? I don't know. Despite only 2 shows, we really only scratched the surface. So we're hoping to do this again, because that was a lot of fun. I'd like to have Brian back. That is Brian Scanlon, owner-operator of the Chicago Bluesmobile. Thank you to him for joining me in the first hour of the show. And thank you to Peter Noone, the legendary Peter Noone of Herman's Hermits. And also thank you to listeners like you for making the Blues Review a massive international success. Find full episodes, interviews, playlists, and more at 977thebolt.com/Blues Review. That's REVUE. Follow the show on Facebook and at Instagram at STB_977. The show is sponsored by Shiny Top Brewing in Fort Dodge. Our theme music is composed by Little Magic Sam. And our interview music for today and for last week was performed by Maya Van Rays. That was her cover of Something that she did on piano. I asked her to perform a little something for me, and she performed a little version of the song Something. So I really appreciate her doing that, and I do hope everybody here joins me again next week, next time on the Sam T. Blues Review. Thank you, everybody. Good night, and good luck.
There's a lady who's sure all the glitters is gold, and she's buying a stairway to heaven. When she gets there, she knows if the stars are all closed, with a word she